Welcome to Jaed English Center.
Welcome to a journey across the United States of America, a country full of history, culture, and amazing places. In this journey, we will explore 16 fascinating chapters about America. We will start with Chapter 1, The Story of America, and learn how it all began. Then, in Chapter 2, we will see the first Europeans arriving. Chapter 3 tells us about the American Indians and their rich traditions. Chapter 4 brings the struggle for independence and the famous Declaration of Independence. In Chapter 5 and 6, we explore the growth of the country, its population, and life in early America. Chapters 7 and 8 cover the life of Americans today and the importance of education. Chapter 9 explains how the government works, and Chapter 10 shows daily life in the USA. Next, we will enjoy Chapters 11 and 12, about American food, drinks, and music that travel around the world. Chapters 13 and 14 guide us through great cities in the exciting state of California. Chapters 15 and 16 show the beautiful natural places, extreme climates, and all the adventures you can have in this incredible country. Get ready to explore the USA like never before. From mountains to beaches, skyscrapers to deserts, history to modern life, this journey has it all. Close your eyes and imagine a huge, quiet land. There are tall mountains, deep forests, shining lakes, and wild animals, but no towns, no roads, no people. This was America, thousands of years ago. Around 16,000 years back, the first people came. They crossed from Asia into Alaska, following animals and looking for food. Slowly, they traveled south and spread across the land. They became the Native Americans. Farther south, they built great cultures. The Maya, the Aztecs, and the Inca. In the icy north, the Inuit made their homes. But many centuries later, everything changed. In the 1500s, Europeans began to arrive. They built farms and towns, and sadly, they brought African slaves to work. Soon more people came, from every corner of the world. The empty land was no longer empty, it was full of voices, languages, and ideas. Today, North America has 3 countries: Canada, Mexico, and the USA. More than 300 million people live in the United States. They are white, black, Hispanic, Asian, and Native American. Most speak English, some speak Spanish, but all share one land. And so, the story of the USA begins. Long ago, brave sailors crossed the wild Atlantic Ocean. The name America comes from Amerigo Vespucci, an Italian who sailed to South America in the early 1500s. But he was not the first European to arrive. Around the year 1000, Vikings reached the coasts of Canada and New England. But they did not stay. In 1492, Christopher Columbus set sail looking for a new route to India. Instead, he reached the Caribbean. Thinking he had found India, he called the native people Indians. Soon, other explorers followed him: Cabot, Cartier, and many more. By the 1600s, Europeans were ready to live in America. The French settled in Quebec, the Dutch in New York, and the British in Virginia and New England. In 1607, the first English colony began in Jamestown, Virginia. Life was hard. There was little food, and many settlers died. Pocahontas, the daughter of a native chief, helped Captain John Smith and the settlers survive. Tobacco farming later saved Jamestown and made it rich. In 1620, another group of English people arrived on the Mayflower. They were called the Pilgrims. They wanted freedom to follow their own religion. Native Americans, especially Squanto, taught them how to farm. In 1621, the Pilgrims celebrated their first harvest with a feast, the first Thanksgiving. Today, Americans still honor that day with turkey and pumpkin pie. By the 1700s, there were 13 British colonies along the east coast of America. They were ruled by Britain, but Britain was far away. People in the colonies worked hard, yet they had to pay high taxes to the British government. This made them very angry. In December 1773, a group of men in Boston decided to fight back. They threw 342 boxes of British tea into the sea. This became famous as the Boston Tea Party. The British government was furious and sent soldiers. In April 1775, the first fighting broke out at Lexington and Concord. Soon it was clear Britain and its colonies were at war. A farmer from Virginia, George Washington, became the leader of the American Army. In July 1776, a man named Thomas Jefferson wrote the Declaration of Independence. It said that King George III had taken away the people's rights to life, freedom, and happiness. From then on, July 4th became America's Independence Day. After years of battles, the Americans finally won in 1781. In 1789, George Washington became the first president of the United States. Over time, the country grew bigger, buying land from France, Spain, Mexico, and even Russia. By 1959, Alaska and Hawaii became the last two states, making 50 stars on the American flag. By the mid-1800s, the USA had 31 million people, but the nation was divided. The South depended on slaves to work in cotton fields, while the North opposed slavery. When Abraham Lincoln, a man who believed in freedom, became the 16th president in 1860, the South grew angry. On December 24, 1860, South Carolina decided to leave the Union. Soon, other Southern states followed. War began on April 12, 1861, at Fort Sumter. The South had skilled generals like Robert E. Lee and money from selling cotton to Britain. But the North had more men, more factories, and Lincoln's leadership. The turning point came in 1863 at the Battle of Gettysburg. Lincoln later gave his powerful Gettysburg Address, saying the nation must have government of the people, by the people, for the people. General Sherman led a famous march destroying Southern supply lines, while Ulysses S. Grant forced Lee's army to surrender in 1865 at Appomattox. Lincoln asked for peace and kindness toward the South, but just 5 days later, he was shot by John Wilkes Booth. The war ended slavery, but the country still struggled with racism and rebuilding. The Civil War cost over 600,000 lives, a heavy price for freedom. When people think of the Wild West, they imagine cowboys, Indians, and gunfights. But the real story was very different. There were only about 40,000 real cowboys, and they rarely fought each other or Native Americans. Most of their days were spent working under the hot sun, driving cattle from Texas to railway towns in Kansas and Missouri. From there, the cows went to Chicago, where the meat was sent to the cities in the east. A quarter of all cowboys were black or Mexican, but after 30 years, the cowboy days were over. The government gave land to farming families, and more than 500,000 farmers moved west between 1862 and 1900. Life on the farms was lonely and very hard, especially in winter. Soon, the railways changed everything. In 1869, the railway lines from east and west finally met in Utah, allowing people to travel across the USA by train. Before that, letters were carried by the Pony Express, with riders changing every 120 kilometers, crossing the country in just 10 days. One legendary figure was Buffalo Bill Cody, who later created a traveling Wild West show with sharpshooter Annie Oakley, turning the West into a legend that lives on in movies and books. Long before Europeans came, millions of Native Americans lived across North America. They belonged to over 300 groups and spoke more than 2,000 languages. But when Europeans arrived in the 15th century, everything began to change. Many Native Americans were killed in wars, and new diseases wiped out entire villages. The tribes of the West, like the Cheyenne, Blackfoot, and Sioux, lived by hunting buffalo. Buffalo gave them food, clothing, shelter, and tools. But when settlers wanted land for farms and railways, they shot millions of buffalo. By 1900, only about 1,000 buffalo were left, and fewer than 250,000 Native Americans survived. The great Sioux leader Sitting Bull fought bravely and won a major battle at Little Bighorn in 1876. But in the end, the Indian Wars ended sadly at Wounded Knee in 1890, where many Sioux men, women, and children were killed. After that, Native Americans were forced to live on special lands called reservations. Many remained poor, but some built casinos to earn money for their communities. The Navajo created beautiful blankets, and their language became a secret code during World War II. Today, Native American culture, their dances, jewelry, and traditions still keeps their spirit alive. In the 1800s, many Americans came from Britain, Germany, and Scandinavia. Most were farmers or business people, but soon factories and cities grew, and people from other countries arrived, hoping for work and freedom. Between 1840 and 1900, about 5 million came from Ireland, and another 5 million from Italy. Millions more came from Russia, Poland, and other parts of Eastern Europe. They were often poor, had different religions, and had little schooling. Many faced prejudice, but they still dreamed of a better life. European immigrants first arrived at Ellis Island in New York. There they were checked for diseases and other problems. Nearby stands the Statue of Liberty, welcoming the tired and poor with the famous words, "Give me your tired, your poor." Chinese immigrants also came, especially after gold was discovered in California in 1848. They worked on railways but faced prejudice and were banned from entering the USA after 1882. In the 20th century, Chinese families returned, adding to the vibrant culture of the West Coast. Today, most new immigrants come from Spanish-speaking countries like Mexico and Puerto Rico. Cities like New York, Boston, and Chicago still celebrate traditions like St. Patrick's Day and Chinese New Year, showing how Americans keep their own heritage alive while becoming part of the United States. Today, about 39 million Black people live in the United States. Long ago, they were mostly in the South, working as slaves in cotton and tobacco fields. Books like Uncle Tom's Cabin showed the cruelty of slavery and inspired many to fight for freedom. Brave people like Harriet Tubman and Frederick Douglass helped hundreds of slaves escape to the North through the Underground Railroad, a secret network of safe houses. Douglass learned to read and write, wrote about his life, and spoke in Europe to end slavery. Tubman risked her life many times, saying, "I can only die once." After the Civil War, slavery ended, but prejudice continued. Groups like the Ku Klux Klan terrorized Black people. Voting rights came slowly, and segregation laws kept Black Americans separate in schools, buses, and restaurants. In the 1950s and 1960s, leaders like Martin Luther King Jr. and activists like Rosa Parks fought peacefully for civil rights. King's famous "I Have a Dream" speech inspired millions. The Civil Rights Act of 1964 gave legal equality, but challenges remain. Today, many Black Americans have important jobs in business and government. Yet events like Hurricane Katrina showed that inequality can still affect communities. The journey of Black Americans is one of courage, struggle, and hope, shaping the story of the United States. The United States has a government with three parts: Congress, the President, and the Supreme Court. Congress makes the laws. It has two houses, the Senate, with 2 senators from each state, and the House of Representatives, where states with more people have more members. The president is the leader of the country and the head of the army. He is elected for 4 years and can serve a maximum of 8 years. He can approve or reject laws, and he chooses judges for the Supreme Court. The Supreme Court has 9 judges who make sure laws and actions are fair and legal. Each state also has its own government with different laws, like the age to drive, or punishments for crimes. For example, some states still have the death penalty while others do not. There are 2 main political parties, Republicans and Democrats. Republicans believe people should work for themselves and keep taxes low. Democrats think the government should help the poor, so taxes need to be higher. Americans do not have a king or queen. Anyone can become president, but candidates often need money and fame to share their ideas. Families like the Adams and Bush have had 2 presidents, and many hope one day a woman, like Hillary Clinton, could become president. Many people know the USA from films, TV shows, and paintings by artists like Edward Hopper and Norman Rockwell, but real life is a mix of work, school, and family. Most Americans work about 40 hours a week and get holidays like Thanksgiving and Christmas. In many families, both husband and wife work. Although the USA has lots of farms, most people now work in hospitals, banks, hotels, shops, or offices. Around 6% of Americans do not have jobs, and poverty affects more Black and Hispanic people than others. Americans use dollars, miles, and pounds, and tipping is common in restaurants and taxis. Because the country is so big, time zones change from New York to Hawaii. Many Americans own homes and cars. Cars are important for work, shopping, and entertainment. Famous inventors like Henry Ford made cars affordable for ordinary people. Religion is personal, with over 80% of Americans being Christians, but the government does not force religion in schools. Television is very popular, and Americans watch over 7 hours a day. Schools usually last 12 years, followed by universities like Harvard and Berkeley. Sports like baseball, basketball, and football are popular. Baseball, the favorite sport, has famous teams like the New York Yankees and legends like Babe Ruth. Life in the USA is busy, modern, and full of opportunities, but it also comes with challenges like inequality and high living costs. What do Americans eat? Many love fast food, like hamburgers, hot dogs, and French fries. These foods are popular in America and around the world. Some people eat too much fast food, and that makes them unhealthy. These days, many families do not eat together at the table. Instead, people eat alone, snacking throughout the day. Sweet foods like pies, cakes, and ice cream are very popular. Famous ice cream brands like Ben & Jerry's started in Vermont. Many Americans now care about healthy eating. Some choose vegetables, fruits, or stop eating meat. Breakfast in the USA is special. Eggs can be cooked many ways, like sunny side up or over easy. Coffee is a big part of American life. You can drink it all day, especially from Starbucks, which changed coffee culture worldwide. Americans also enjoy drinks like Coca-Cola, first made in 1886, and wine from California. Alcohol is only allowed for people over 21 years old, and smoking is banned in many public places. American food is also influenced by immigrants. You can enjoy Chinese, Italian, Mexican, and Cajun food. Tex-Mex is a mix of Texas and Mexican flavors. Soul food is traditional in the South, often with meat, vegetables, and cornbread. Food in America is tasty, varied, and full of stories from different people and cultures. American music has many roots, beginning with the songs of Black American slaves. In the South, they sang work songs and religious songs in a call and response style, like a musical conversation. After the Civil War, freed slaves created the blues, telling sad stories of hard work and danger. Cities along the Mississippi River became the heart of this music. In the 20th century, black people moved north to find jobs and took their music with them to Chicago and Detroit. Musicians like Muddy Waters and Bessie Smith made blues famous. Later, Elvis Presley brought blues to white audiences, and soul music grew in Detroit's Motown, with stars like Diana Ross, Stevie Wonder, and the Jackson 5. Jazz began in New Orleans from the songs and dances of black slaves. Legends like Louis Armstrong and Jelly Roll Morton made it world famous. Swing music from big bands traveled to Europe during World War II. Today, jazz is played everywhere, though New Orleans was badly damaged by Hurricane Katrina in 2005. Country music started in the Appalachian Mountains with Scottish, Irish, and English influences. Stars like Dolly Parton and Johnny Cash became famous. In the 1990s, rap emerged in New York, telling life stories from the streets with artists like Eminem, Snoop Dogg, and Missy Elliott. American music is full of stories, emotions, and culture, and it continues to inspire people worldwide. America has many famous cities, each with its own story. In the Northeast, Boston is one of the oldest. Here, the fight for independence began, and you can walk the Freedom Trail or visit Harvard University in nearby Cambridge. The Kennedy family was very famous here, and John F. Kennedy became president in 1961. New York City is the largest city in the USA, full of theaters, shops, and museums. Visitors love the Statue of Liberty, Times Square, Central Park, and Broadway. The Empire State Building is a famous skyscraper, and the Metropolitan Museum of Art is huge. Sadly, New Yorkers remember 9/11 when the Twin Towers were destroyed. The capital, Washington, D.C., is different with no skyscrapers. You can visit the White House, the Capitol, and many museums. In the South, Savannah and Charleston are full of beautiful old houses, while Atlanta is modern and busy. Chicago, called the Windy City, has tall buildings, museums, shops, and Wrigley Field baseball stadium. On the West Coast, Seattle is known for coffee, music, and technology, while Las Vegas in Nevada is famous for casinos and entertainment. Each city has its own charm, history, and culture, making the USA a land of many experiences. California is the most populated state in the USA with over 30 million people. It is a land of contrasts. In the east, Mount Whitney rises 4,420 meters, the highest mountain in the USA outside Alaska. Nearby is Death Valley, the lowest and hottest place in the country, where temperatures once reached 56.7 degrees Celsius. The north, however, is cooler and wetter, home to the giant redwood trees, the tallest in the world, and the famous Napa Valley with its excellent wines. California produces more fruits and vegetables than any other state, and is also a hub of technology. Companies like Hewlett-Packard and Apple have their headquarters here. San Francisco is known for the Golden Gate Bridge, the former prison Alcatraz, and its historic earthquakes. The city also became famous for the beatniks in the 1950s and hippies in the 1960s, celebrating the Summer of Love. Los Angeles, the second largest city, is the home of Hollywood and the film industry. Famous stars, studios, and attractions like Disneyland in Orange County make it a popular destination. Despite its traffic and air pollution, California attracts millions of visitors every year with its beaches, mountains, cities, and cultural landmarks. The USA is full of big cities, but it also has vast empty spaces that remain much like they were when the first Europeans arrived. Many of these areas are now national parks, protected from buildings and factories. Artists like Ansel Adams, born in San Francisco, captured their beauty, especially Yosemite in Northern California and the stunning California coast. Traveling north, Oregon and Washington offer cool, wet forests and high mountains, with parks like Mount Rainier and Crater Lake. The Rocky Mountains across Wyoming, Montana, Colorado, Idaho, and Utah are perfect for hiking, fishing, hunting, horse riding, and winter sports in snowy places like Aspen. Yellowstone National Park in this area is famous for Old Faithful, a geyser shooting water 55 meters high. Salt Lake City in Utah sits beside a lake so salty that swimming underwater is almost impossible. In the hot, dry Southwest, Arizona has colorful landscapes, including the world-famous Grand Canyon, carved by the Colorado River. New Mexico is home to artists and museums, including those dedicated to Georgia O'Keeffe in Santa Fe. South Dakota has the Black Hills and Mount Rushmore, where 4 presidents' faces are carved into rock. The Great Lakes, Erie, Ontario, Huron, Michigan, and Superior form the largest group of freshwater lakes in the world, with beaches, sailing, and Niagara Falls, 51 meters high, straddling the U.S.-Canada border. Louisiana and the Mississippi River tell stories of history and literature, including works by Mark Twain. In New England, autumn brings brilliant colors, making it the perfect season to visit. The USA is full of extremes. Florida, in the far southeast, is called the Sunshine State because it is warm and sunny almost all year. Oranges grow there, and visitors come for beach holidays. You can also visit Walt Disney World or the Kennedy Space Center. Florida has the Everglades, a wetland with trees, plants, animals, and birds found nowhere else in America. Many older people move here for the warmth, but new houses, roads, and factories have damaged the land and wildlife. At the other extreme is Alaska, the largest and coldest state. Fishing, hunting, and gold used to bring money, but today oil is important. North America's highest mountain, Mount McKinley, 6,194 meters, is here. Visitors travel by boat from Seattle in summer, while winters are long, cold, and dark. If lucky, you can see the northern lights, aurora borealis, lighting up the sky. Texas, the second largest state, still has cowboys, but oil wealth makes it modern and rich. Its capital, Austin, is famous for music, with legends like Janis Joplin and country singer Kinky Friedman. The smallest state, Rhode Island, hosts big music festivals in Newport every year. Hawaii, far from the mainland, attracts tourists to beaches like Waikiki and quiet places with waterfalls, trees, and exotic wildlife. Only about 9,000 true Hawaiians live there today. The USA offers something for everyone: busy cities or quiet parks, cold mountains or warm seas, shopping or sports. You can plan your own journey and discover its amazing diversity. Thank you for joining us on this amazing journey across the United States of America. From the history of the country to the exciting cities, from the music, food, and drinks to the beautiful mountains, deserts, and beaches, we have discovered so much together. We have seen how Americans live, how the government works, and how culture and traditions shape everyday life. We visited incredible national parks, famous landmarks, and explored the warmth of sunny Florida, the cold beauty of Alaska, and the wonders of California. The USA is a country of contrasts, hot and cold, big and small, busy cities and quiet nature, and there is always something new to explore. We hope this journey has inspired you to learn more, explore more, and maybe even plan your own adventure in America. Remember, the world is full of amazing places and stories waiting for you. Until next time, keep exploring, keep learning, and keep discovering the wonders of the world.